Alreet Petals, how you doing? It's your girl, Lai-Dee Flegman, and welcome back to my channel, where I bring all the debauchery to the yard. So, this video's gonna be censored, obviously, so if you'd like to watch the uncensored version, along with other exclusive content, then head over to the Patreon, link is in the description. Thanking you all muchly. Now, today we are talking about something rather strange I found the other day while browsing away, daydreaming of all the things I wanted to buy on the well-known Chinese fashion store Shein. Yes, I'm aware it's Shein, but the way I say it makes it sound a little bit posher, a bit like Primani for Primark. Anyway, not the point. So, as I was saying, I was scrolling away when I was recommended a particular item. This particular item. Oh yes, as you can imagine, this is going to be a spicy video, so go make a cuppa, grab some snacks and make yourself comfy, cause here we go. Now before we all go grab the pitchforks and torches in fury and hatred, that's not what this video is about. I'm not attacking Shein for selling them, I'm not saying that they shouldn't sell them, I'm simply saying that they do sell them, and if you wanted to, you could easily buy your own too. This video is also not sponsored at all. I used my own money on this and my opinions are my own. Am I cleared of all the legal jargon now? Good. So I sat down the other day and browsed through their selection. I have no idea how I found these. I think I'd been looking for harnesses and that particular item popped up in the recommended list. When I originally found them, they were labelled as adult party props, which I mean, yeah, you could call them that. Now there's an actual wellness section under the beauty tab, which makes it far easier to find. I then picked a range of different props, only for them to suddenly disappear out of my cart, because I didn't purchase them there and then. I'm a peasant, I'm afraid, so I had to wait till payday. Thankfully, items then did start trickling back onto the site, so I'm guessing they only stock a small amount of these items, and they were all sold out by the time that I wanted to buy mine. So instead of waiting for them all to be available at the same time, I've been buying a couple of items every so often, every time I saw that they were available. And yes, I'm on first name basis with my postie now too. Poor lad has seen some sights. You believe me, I don't look like this first thing in the morning, I look more like this. What I'm going to do as well is give you the expectation picture, or the photo on the website, and then the reality picture of what you actually get. For YouTube, I'm very sorry, but some things are just not going to be there for obvious reasons. But for these instances, I will do my best to describe them. In a YouTube-friendly manner, of course. Let's start on the tamer end of this mad shopping spree, shall we? Blindfolds. I bought 3 different blindfolds and 1 mask, because it looked cute. First one we have is this one here. This is a silk blindfold. Here's the expectation photo, and here's what I actually got. Pretty much spot on. This is a lovely silk reversible blindfold. It's black on one side and a deep burgundy on the other. It feels lovely on the skin and is great for the beginner. I will say be careful tying around your hair. Last thing you want is to get your hair tangled in the knot, trust me, been there. I also love the fact that you can use this as a binding method too. It's great for tying the hands together to the bed or behind your back. It's very versatile. Next up, I bought this beauty of a blindfold. The expectation photo made this leather look real fancy, and the actual product was again spot on. This is pleather, not leather, but it's still decent quality, which is a bonus. For the price I was expecting some really cheap, but this is really nice. The stitching is good, it's sturdy but flexible, and the buckles are really good quality too. That's the first thing you want to look for when buying bondage gear. Make sure that they have quality buckles. But yeah, it's a really good blindfold, especially if you're starting out with your first BDSM kit. The last blindfold I got is this one, the crisscross blindfold. It crosses over the eyes to give a double wrap look. The expectation photo made it look thick and luxurious. What I actually got, however, this was the quality I was expecting from Shein. This leather is rather thin and flimsy, which, I mean, is fine for a blindfold I suppose, but still compared to the other one I bought, this one is a bit of a letdown. The buckles are okay for what the product is, so that's a good point, but I had high hopes for this one because I really like the design, but yeah, not up to my expectations I'm afraid. I mean, it does the job fine and works as a blindfold, but I expected more. Lastly, in the blindfold/mask department is this bunny mask. This is the expectation photo, which honestly does not do the mask justice. In reality, this mask is beautiful. It's a nice stiff pleather that doesn't just flop over as soon as you're wearing it. It stays put, and I must say, it looks fabulous on. Once again, the buckles are good quality and it has many holes, which means it will definitely fit your head no matter the size. And I say that because I've got a strangely small head in comparison to the rest of me. I can still wear kids' hats. I can also wear kids' shoes too, which is great when you're wanting a pair of Superman trainers meant for kids. Anyway, let's get off that tangent train and get back to the naughty toys. Moving on to the restraints now. Ah yes, goodbye monetization. Anyway, I bought a couple different types, including rope and leather restraints. Yeah, FYI, do not for one moment think that any of these are actually leather. All items are pleather of some description. First up we have rope. I bought a bundle of plain rope and also these fancy looking rope handcuffs. Expectations of these cuffs were high, they look very sophisticated in the pictures. In reality, they still do look very sophisticated, but not mechanically. I'm a rope bunny through and through, and I can tell you now, the feeling of these handcuffs are beautiful. They're super soft and silky. Using them though is a little tricky, I found. They have this clasp and it doesn't seem to slide smoothly, though that could just be my dumbass not doing it right, or that they just don't work as well as I hoped. As I said, these feel amazingly soft and I can imagine they'd leave next to no rope marks or burns, so in that aspect they're fantastic. Just wish they worked a bit better. Next up we have the rope bundle. Now the expectation photo and the reality photo of the bundle of rope is pretty much the same thing. Compared to the earlier rope product, this isn't as silky though. I think it's a nylon blend maybe, and is still very comfortable even for prolonged periods of time. I got the purple bundle, but at the time of recording they have red, black, pink and purple. They are rather short for my liking though, as these are only 5 meters in length, but that's still enough to tie your hands to the bed frame now. And with the price of them, you can easily buy quite a few of them and join them all together. A solid product, especially for the price. Moving on to the next item, this beauty, the hog tie cuff set. This is a set of 4 cuffs, 2 for the wrists and 2 for the ankles, that can be attached in a hog tie style manner using the included cross strap. I had high hopes for these restraints from the expectation photos, and I was certainly not disappointed. Now for the price of these are amazing. If I remember correctly, I paid something like £5-6 for this set, and it's well worth the money. When you first get them, they are quite stiff, but all you need to do is just break them in by shaping them around your wrist and ankle. And don't worry vegans, it's all pleather and fake fur, so win-win all round. Sticking with the restraints of the leather variety, we have these red and black cuffs here. Now I had envisioned these being the same quality as the previous ones based on the website photos, but they're just not. The leather is super flimsy, a lot like the crisscross blindfold. The chain is cheap and plastic feeling, and if you were to pull hard enough, I'm pretty sure you would break the clasp. Overall, very disappointed with these ones. Again, I did have high hopes for these. Another set of restraints I purchased are these cuffs with a padlock. The leather is a bit thin for my liking, though that's more of a preference than the item itself, because they are certainly better quality than the last ones. The clasp and the chain on the other hand are very robust and sturdy. A solid 7 out of 10 padlocks I'd say. Now yes, I'm aware that the padlocks are gonna be a bit shit because they're the cheap ones that you can get on kids' diaries, let's not be coy about it. But what's stopping you using the proper little ones you can buy at the hardware store instead of these ones? Though if you do that, make sure you have the keys nearby. It's very embarrassing to have to call for help while you're in your most vulnerable. Y'all don't want a Gerald's Game situation going on. Complete side note, Gerald's Game is one of my favourite Stephen King novels, and the Netflix Originals adaptation is actually pretty good. I certainly recommend it. Anyway, back to the video. The next item isn't restraints per se, but they are a form of restraints. Over-the-door wrist restraints. The expectation photos don't really show much other than the item itself, but in reality they are very sturdy. Now for those who aren't very well versed in all things bondage, you put these little beauties over the top of the door and then close said door, and hey presto, you have yourself some war shackles. The cuffs you get with them are just basic vanilla fabric cuffs that you fasten with Velcro, but who needs them when you've got all of these bad boys? And finally, in this department at least, we have these. These are padded ankle cuffs, and again, the expectation photos do not do these bad boys justice at all. Let me tell you, these are amazing. From the pleather to the padding, these feel so soft while you're wearing them, and to make them even better, they have locking clasps on them too. It's an instant hit with me having lockable clasps on your bondage gear. It's just an added little detail, at least to me, that shows an extra step in quality. Hands down, these are my favourite. 10 out of 10 padlocks, hands down. the last section was spicy, then this one is red hot. Next we have butt toys. I think that's a safe way of describing them. Hopefully. Anyway, first up we have this beauty. Here we have a cute black cattail butt plug. Wow, you try saying that 5 times fast. The expectation photos do make the tail look fluffier than they actually are, but for the price of it, there's nothing really to sulk over. A very simple metal butt plug and on the smaller side, which means if you're new to butt play, then you shouldn't be too intimidated by the size. The fur tail is pretty well secured onto the butt toy, which is good. Last thing you want is to lose your tail halfway through. Also, before anyone starts getting any ideas about how I'm going to review these items, I'm taking the Sid Snap approach and just having my surprised reaction and waving them around. We're not that kind of channel here. Staying on the lines of the fluffy butt tails, we have this lovely combo. The pink tail butt plug and ears set, which I mean is exactly the same as the one before, but this time it comes with ears. And of course it's pink. The expectation versus reality photos are basically the same. Yeah, at this point I was getting a little clicker happy. If I'm honest, I didn't mean to buy 2 tail butt plugs, but never mind. This one is more mainstream and less furry-esque. This is a black vibrating butt plug. I got misled again by this expectation photo because look at the size of that. You're expecting that to go up there? It's bigger than my head. Goodness gracious me. Joking aside, it is a bit of a beast, but enough of that, let's talk about what it does other than go up your bum. It has 10 different vibrating settings and is also waterproof. Well, splash proof. These kind of toys say that they're waterproof, but I still don't think I'd take them in the bath, if you get me. The last thing I need is to be found electrocuted in the bath with that shoved up somewhere. Moving on. Let's move on to something a little more tamer, shall we? She says, knowing full well that what's coming up is far from tame. A Wartenberg wheel. Ah yes, very tame. Now I know most of you will know this as a beauty tool rather than a toy, but they do actually coexist together. But for those who don't know what this is, the Wartenberg wheel is a spiked wheel that you use on your skin. For beauty uses, it stimulates blood flow to the skin, and in a sense, it's to cause arousal and pleasure via the same method. This one is a good decent quality one, and is a great little item to add to your naughty bag. Nipple clamps. I have a few different items here, so let's start with these. Expectation meets reality with these bad boys. These nipple clamps come with an attached chain, and are used by sliding the little ring up the 2 metal tweezer-like prongs until they are securely clamped on the nipple. A little hardcore for some compared to other types coming up, but they do the job well, and the chain is also pretty decent too. You could certainly pull on the chain and not have it snap. The last thing you want is the chain to snap during all the fun. Next up we have the fluffy boys. Look how fluffy they are. These nipple clamps come with pink pom-poms and are just too cute. I wasn't expecting the pom-poms to be as big as they are though. Maybe I'm bad with scale, but look at the expectation photo. Tell me that was the size you thought they'd be. So with these ones, unlike the ones before, you use a screw on the side to set the strength of the squeeze. These ones are also thicker on the nipple clamp part, which means they are more comfortable to wear than the last ones. A good pair for the vanillas to use when they want to spice things up in the bedroom. To match the last ones, we have these little beauties. These nipple clamps with bows and bells on are again just too cute. These are the exact same as the last ones, and I only got them because they look pretty. Look, they got bells on! Next up we have this collar with nipple covers. Expectations were low for this item, I can't deny. Looking at the photos on the website made me cautious with this one, and that was because of the collar. Now this is something I honestly didn't think would fit around my neck, as like most chokers and collars from Shein, but this one actually fits me. Sorry, there will be no demonstration with the collar and nipple pasties on, but I'm sure your imagination can figure out the rest. The leather is rather soft compared to some of the other leather, and I can imagine it's comfortable to wear. The last one, or ones, as I bought 2 different types on the nipple clamps, are these. Something tells me Sid Snap might like these.
No! Okay, my face. This feels so good, I'm so close.
These are suction cup nipple clamps. Can you call them nipple clamps if they suck instead? Anyway, you use them by pinching the ball section and then placing the hole over your skin. Once you let go, you should have created a suction between the cup and your skin. And you know what? These are awesome. I did think they were going to be a little bit bigger, going off the expectation photos, but you know what? I think these are the perfect size for what they're for. Maybe I do have an issue with scale. These ones are plain pink, and these ones have rings attached for linking with a chain or adding weights. These ones are a little bit more hardcore, but still do the job for the vanillas out there. Definitely recommended. These are very fun little suction cups. You've all seen a whip, yeah? Well, have you seen a fluffy wolf tail whip? Or you have. Or you must be a regular here. Welcome back. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button while you're out. For those who don't know what this is, it's not actually a whip at all. It's more of a tickling stick. So instead of beating your boo into a pleasure whirlwind, you essentially trace the tail up and down their skin until they are high on serotonin. It's very well made, the handle is firm, the pleather weave is comfortable in the hand, and the fur tail is securely attached to the handle. And lastly, in the sensation play department, we have these. We have two different types of feathers here, this cute ostrich style feather in pink and these long pheasant style feathers. I love being tickled, and let me tell you, these things are the best. The longer ones have a decent length to them, which means lots of height when it comes to tickling and teasing, while the ostrich feather has a completely different type of tickle, if that makes sense. We're in the deep end now, so let's keep going with gags. I found a few different gags on here, so let's begin with this one. The bone gag. It's a ball gag in the shape of a bone. Expectations meet reality with this one again. Yes, I'm a puppy girl as well as a kitty girl. Do you have a problem with that? Oh, you do? Oh, well, that's sad. Anyway, this gag is beautiful. The silicone bone is super soft and comfy in your mouth and not too heavy either. The strap is a decent length and good quality pleather too. No lockable clasp on this one though, so points taken off for that. But overall, a really good buy. Next up we have this beauty of a gag, the open mouth gag. Again, the silicone on this one is super soft and comfortable, and the strap is nice and long. If you remember them mouth muscle trainers that cropped up a few years ago, you'll notice something similar about these. The hole is a decent size too, which means things can pass through smoothly. It's something I've always pondered about O-ring gags. They are designed to allow your gentleman through, but the ones I've seen are absolutely tiny. The O-ring gag, I mean. The next two gags are rather similar, and I really can't show these on YouTube at all, I'm afraid, so please enjoy Patreons. These gags have a particular item that goes in the mouth rather than the usual round silicone ball. First up is this one. The leather is nice and thick and the buckle once again is lockable. Then comes the gag aspect, which is this long boy. No, not that long boy, this long boy. Full disclaimer, there was a small version of this one, but it looked real small and I thought the long one wasn't going to be as long as it was. Once again, my terrible scale meter is broken and I misjudged the expectation photos on the website. Ah well, c'est la vie. The next one we have is this one, which is the same yet completely different at the same time. The straps are made of the same material as the gag part, which makes it super soft and silky on the skin. That in itself is a huge bonus as it reduces the risk of strap marks. The last thing you want is to still have marks visible on you when you arrive to work the next day. It leads to some very embarrassing conversations. It does have a lockable clasp as well, but they forgot to punch the holes all the way through on the straps, so I'm going to have to cut them open later. Other than that, it's another great product. Now for the item that started all of this. This is a gag with full harness, including nose hooks, which I hadn't realised was on it, but pleasant surprise. Expectations exceeded. Though I'm not sure how comfortable the nose hooks are. Probably not very, and I can imagine that's the point. Anyway, once again, the leather is pretty decent and of good quality. The ball is silicone and very biteable. I much prefer a silicone ball to a plastic ball, but that's just my preference. This next bit/ball gag is a pretty cool one as it's interchangeable. You can either have a ball gag or a bit gag. That's a straight solid gag type modelled after a horse bit. The bit part is awesome, it's super squishy and I can imagine is great for muffling noises. The ball gag, however, is plastic. Again, I'm aware this is just my preference and many people may prefer the plastic ones as they are breathable compared to the solid silicone ball. But you see, with a silicone gag like this one, you can bite down as hard as you want and nothing major will happen. Whereas with a plastic one, I have a feeling that it would break with too much pressure. In my opinion, of course, I've never broke one yet. And lastly, we have this heart-shaped gag. The expectation photos made this one look super cute and it did not disappoint. If you can't tell, I have a bit of a thing for gags, and I can proudly say I have a rather nice collection of them, and this purchase was simply to add to that collection. and I'm so glad I did because it's a super nice piece of equipment. It has these delicate little hearts that are embossed into the leather, not just stuck on, meaning they won't come away with use. And speaking of the leather, it's good quality, nice and thick and not too flimsy. No lockable clasps, so minus points, but other than that, it's a highly recommended piece for your naughty bag of tricks. Impact play toys, i.e. floggers, paddles and whips. Shein has a nice range of impact toys and a few that I was surprised they had for purchase. Let's talk about this one first. This is a beautiful brown pleather cat o' nine tails flogger, and I really like the look of this one. The expectation photos do make it look a little bit higher quality than it actually is, but it still meets expectations for me. Yeah, it's not high quality, but if you're expecting high quality from a cheap Chinese fashion store, then I may have to disappoint you. For the price though, it's amazing. The leather tails are of decent size and are all uniform in shape and size. The last thing you want from your whip is not to be uniform. That's what causes pain and discomfort. Next up, we have this brute of a flogger. The plastic cat o' nine tail flogger is exactly what I thought I was getting. This flogger is made from similar material that Scooby bracelets are made from, just way thicker. Probably showing my age with that reference, but never mind. Though I will say this about it, this thing is brutal and leaves a more intense sting than, say, the leather ones do. Done correctly, I can imagine having a good time with this one, but I don't suggest it for the nillers out there. This beast is too kinky for them. If you're a pain, well, you know your own limits. Overall, 6 slaps out of 10. Let's talk about paddles for a little bit, shall we? Awesome. This one here, the XOXO paddle, is a super fun little paddle. It's a good quality paddle, a sturdy board that'll handle many a thwack and feels good in the hand. I love the XOXO cutout. The idea is that is the side that you spank on, so that you can quote unquote brand the spanky, as it were. I also bought this paddle, which is the same as the other one, just without the flappy bit, and added spiky bits to the paddle. This one is in the same vein as the vampire glove, which is a leather glove with little spiky needles, but that's for another video. Not something you want to be spanked too hard with, or maybe you do, we don't judge here. Last of the flogger style whips with this sleek little beauty here. The black cat o' nine tails flogger looks just like the website photos and was a decent price. Much like the other two floggers, this one has long strands of leather, though these ones are on the thinner side compared to the other two. Thinner tails make for a more stingy sensation, whereas the wider tails leave for a thud-like sensation. The handle is firm and the braiding on the handle adds some luxury to it too. It's also super soft in the hand as well. Last whip we've got here is this one, the bull whip. I've always wanted one of these types of whips because they look so cool. So when I found this one, I had mixed expectations. Didn't have to worry though, cause this is a beauty. For the price, it's really well made with the pleather braided tightly up the entire whip. And when done correctly, it makes a proper cracking sound. I wish I could show you, but I'd do a damage if I tried to do it in my office. Ah yes, props. Now comes the part of the video where I really can't show anything. So again, the Patreon has the uncensored version, thanking you all muchly. This is also your warning too. Turn back now if you don't want to see what I have down by my feet right now. With all that said, first off we have this one. The blue translucent... Yep, that's a prop alright. Compared to the website photos, it's an exact match to the product. Always a great start. Do I really need to review this one? I'll do it anyway. So for those that can see, this is a suction cup, meaning you can suction it onto pretty much any smooth surface. That includes your phone. Now that's what I call a pop socket. It's a lovely colour and the silicone is firm but still flexible, meaning you won't hurt yourself if you suddenly slip over from excitement. It is a chonker of a member mind, so if you chuck this at someone, you will do them an injury. Staying on the lady props, we have this cute little thing. The pink again matches the expectation photos, though I will say I did think this was going to be a bit thicker. That's what she said. I'm sure we all know what one of these are, but for those that don't, it's what makes that buzzing noise from your parents' bedroom. So this one has 9 vibration settings and comes with a warming tip too. First time I've come across a that heats up, it will be interesting to test that out later. Much like the vibrating butt toy earlier, this is also waterproof, but again, take that with a grain of salt. Let's shrink things down a little with this little guy here. This is a suction and they're all the range at the minute. The picture is exactly what you get, but I must admit this little fella left me feeling underwhelmed by the product. if you catch my drift. Next up we have something that I'm sure many thots and e-girls will be aware of. The tentacle. Bigger than I expected, going off the product photo, I must admit. I mean, look at it. It's a beast. Quite literally. It's a sturdy boy too. Being real for a second, what do you do with these? Like, I know what you do with them, but how? This would tickle my tonsils, never mind my cervix. Anyway, not the point. He's a sturdy one, that's for sure, though his suction cup is a bit lacking compared to the blue boy, and I can just imagine all these little suction cups and rolls are delightful when in use. It doesn't flop around as much as Mr. Blue though, sadly, but it is still fun to try. Are you a bit of a country girl? Do you love walking through the fields of corn? Well then this prop, is right up your street. The corn on the cob, flesh coloured as well. Saying that, between flesh tone and corn yellow, I'm not sure which one I'd prefer. I love how soft and silky this one is, which is a weird thing to say about a corn on the cob, but the texture of the silicone is really lovely to touch. It has great suction and is proper wangable. By that I mean you can wang it about and not worry of breaking it in half. Overall, a decent little corn on the cob. Next item, another suction device here with a rosebud suction. And if you watch TikTok, then maybe you'll have seen a few people talking about this little gem here. Well, that was before TikTok cracked down on all the adult content, sadly. I've seen this little gem everywhere lately, and I can understand why. With 10 different suction modes and being waterproof, it's safe to say bath time will never be the same again. The suction is slightly better on this one compared to the other one, but again, the happy ending isn't anything to write home about. Let's move on to the props for men, shall we? These are fleshlights, pocket honey holes, pleasure mittens, whatever you want to call them. These are devices for men to use. Now before I hear, I thought only basement-dwelling incels used them. If a vibrator is empowering for a woman, then a fleshlight should be empowering for guys too. Toys are toys. There is no discrimination needed. With that said, let's prat about with some of these weird-looking things now, shall we? First up, we have this beauty. This is a full body honey hole, which has leg and arm stumps and a little pair of dirty pillows. And she's a hefty girl, that's for sure. She's fun to smack too. Something you can say about a toy, but not your girlfriend. She comes with 2 different holes, a front hole and a back hole, and they are ribbed inside for his pleasure. I did attempt to turn it inside out, but I didn't want to break it, though I will say if that's what my vajayjay looks like from the inside, I'd be a little concerned. Moving on to this one, which is a facing fleshlight. Can I call it that? Probably not, but never mind. It meets expectations, at least compared to the website's photos. Not sure what I was expecting, if I'm completely honest, mind you. This is a 3-in-1 honey hole, though I'm not sure where the 3rd hole is. And it has teeth, and a tongue. Look at it! I do think I prefer these style ones compared to the body-shaped one from earlier though. They just make me think of a frozen chicken for some reason. And lastly, we have the sleeve, for all them quick-fire needs when you're caught off guard in the office with a boner. Not personal experience, thankfully. Now, I showed this one to the boo, and his first thought was that it was some sort of new lady condom. Which, yeah, I can see it. Though you would have to go steady, because you wouldn't want to lose that up there. But yeah, this is supposed to go over your manhood. Yeah, I'm not buying that, Tex. Let's see if it actually goes over Mr. Blue here. Oh, would you look at that? It actually does. I'm genuinely shocked. Though that certainly doesn't look very comfortable, let's say. Plus point though, you could always use it as a willy warmer. I also bought this cute little feather duster that goes perfectly with my maid cosplay. Not really reviewing it, just kind of showing off now. And there we have it, folks. My review of Shein's toy range. Was that fun for y'all? I certainly had fun. As I said at the beginning, I'm not trying to cause outcry or debate about this. I don't care that Shein sells naughty adult toys. I just thought it was funny and deserved a video making about it all. And don't be thinking that's all that Shein's got to offer in regards to adult toys either. I've already found enough to make a second video, so if that's something you'd like to see, leave a like, subscribe, all that jazz so you know when things are coming out. But anyway, that's my video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!